And again, I just want to thank everybody for attending this virtual meeting. One of the things that you can do to absolutely help Club 500 is like and also join the Facebook group and share things that we put out. We're putting out weekly tips, links, and more. So if you can, be sure to also be active on the Facebook group and Facebook page. And so we want to go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to go ahead and go through the attendees. We're going to go ahead and do networking introduction. So go ahead and state your name and where you are from only, and use the chat box if you want to promote anything else, but we just want to simply go through your name and where you're from. So my name is Jarrett Richard from Newport Beach, California. Peter?
And I'm Peter from Orange County, California.
Nicole?
Nicole Johnson, Atlanta, Georgia.
Nick?
Nick Weaver, Montgomery, Alabama. And I'm not alone. I don't know if you guys can see.
And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick off purchasing and managing your investment property with Peter and Nicole. Nicole, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and we'll get started with Peter. Peter?
And guys, I just wanted to tell you real quick. So Nicole Johnson is the owner of Falcon Property Management in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've asked Nicole to be here today because she's very knowledgeable on the topic of property management and investment properties in general. So I thought Nicole would have a lot of good things to share with you guys. She currently manages my properties in and around Atlanta area and has been doing a fantastic job at that. So I thought it would be great to have her share some tips and tricks with you. So Nicole, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Peter. I appreciate you guys as well as Club 500 having me on today. And like you said, we primarily manage single family homes in and around the Atlanta metro area. And I am married with 2 teenagers and 2 fur babies. And we actually lived in Southern California. I was an Orange County girl for about 10 years. And I really loved it, but my pocketbook didn't. So I would just like to thank everybody, and I can't wait to answer any questions that you may have on purchasing and managing your investment property. But we'll just review the process of managing your investment property in order to meet your investment goals. So the first thing to decide for yourself is, how does real estate investing fit into your current investment strategy? What are you really looking to achieve? And why are you interested in the real estate market? Are you just looking for financial freedom? Do you need additional flexibility with your career? Maybe you just want to spend more time with your family. But determining why you're entering in this industry will set the building blocks for how successful that you are going to be with it. And so those goals are going to chart your path for everything that's to come. So you want to set your short and your long-term goals and try to stick to those as best you can. Another key factor is going to be to establish your timeline for those goals. Are you planning to be a short-term investor, or are you going to hold on to these properties for a long term? And by identifying your timeline is going to play a very important part on establishing those goals and charting your path so that you are able to establish a good firm platform for your business as well as your investment strategy. And of course, the key factor I'm sure all of us can agree upon is your return on investment. So you know that you want to purchase a property, but you're not sure where to start. This is where identifying your target markets is going to factor in. And this is your preparation phase. So it's going to be where you're going to need to do some homework, some groundwork, all the legwork, and really just research the various markets of interest in order to prevent future challenges. I see a group of...
I wanted to I wanted to ask you, so this is a really great point to maybe bring in Nick from Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes.
Because he's got a group of investors down there. So I wanted to see, I actually forgot to take it to him prior to starting. So in identifying target markets, this is a great opportunity to bring Nick in for a second to talk about their trip, because they are actually, this is a part of what Club 500 does, taking people to a market that they might be interested in, and showing them some properties, looking at some stuff off of MLS or whatever it may be, and getting in contact with some local folks down there. So,
Peter?
Is he with us?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? I don't know if you guys can see me, but I thought yeah. So we've been meeting with, we met at the community bank Thursday morning. We met with my primary insurance provider out here Friday afternoon. We met with my primary closing company Friday night for dinner. And we've been looking at properties the rest of the time. We've been going since 8 in the morning today. We looked at properties all day yesterday and some of the day on Thursday. But today we've been to all throughout Montgomery. We've been to the suburbs of Montgomery, Prattville, Millbrook, Wetumpka, and I don't even know how many properties we've seen. It's kind of an interesting scenario. I have multiple, people with me, and we've got about 9 people that came on the trip with me, and we actually have multiple people interested in some of the same properties. We're trying to figure out how we're going to partner together and take down. We looked at a guy, we took a ride with a guy who has a 46 unit portfolio of houses yesterday, and for $3.6 million. His gross rents are about $38,000 a month. So we're looking to see how we're going to go about taking that down. We saw a 12-unit apartment complex this morning, basically 4 quads side by side. We saw an 8-unit apartment complex today, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to take all this down. It's pretty interesting. Some people are newbies and they're a little nervous and they're taking it all in, and some people are like a kid in a candy store and they're like, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic, but it's been a lot of fun. I think everyone can agree that it's been well worth their time. And I thought what I would do, we're at a house right now that's listed at 82. The agent that I'm with thinks it will go for about 75 grand. We're looking at how we would convert it to a 4-bedroom, which is kind of my modus operandi. Anytime I can buy a house in Montgomery, I try to convert it to a 4-bedroom so I can get a Section 8 4-bedroom voucher. You're going to get rent between $1,000 to upwards of $1,200 a month. And this house is a perfect scenario. So we're thinking $75,000 and a few $1,000s to get it rent ready. And you can, have a 4-bedroom house bringing in between $1,000 to $1,200 a month. So I thought what I would do real quick, Peter, if you're okay with it, is just do a quick walkthrough of what the property looks like. So
absolutely, yeah, we'd love it. Go ahead.
Can you guys actually see the property?
Yes.
So this is you can actually look it up on Zillow if you have the app or whatever, but it's 2741 Pelzer Avenue. And it's in a really good area in Montgomery. It's a C-class area, but it's a good stable rent area. So brick exterior. We've got a little bit of vinyl. It has a 1-car garage, and the whole house has the hardwood floors. It needs paint throughout. I'd use my favorite color, agreeable gray. Can you guys see okay? It's a little dark in here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So a house like this, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think when you put, if you use the Fannie Freddie loan, you're going to have a house payment in the $350 to $400 range. And you're going to, if you just rented it out as a 3-bedroom in this market, you're going to get $800 a month. If you rent it out as a 4-bedroom in the open market, you're going to get at least 900. But if you go with the Section 8 4-bedroom voucher, you're going to get 1,000 to 1,200, depending on the tenant's voucher. So that's why it's just such a great investment opportunity. I can't stress enough to all the potential investors that are on a part of Club 500. If you have an opportunity to get a Fannie Freddie loan right now, the interest rates are so low. Put 20% down. You're putting down between $15,000 to $20,000 on a house like this, and you know, you're locking in a great interest rate of below 4%, and you're going to have a great asset class that's going to be, you know, paying you back 400 or more, even with property management every month.
We found an extra bedroom.
Tom says we found an extra bedroom. It can be a 4-bedroom house. So it is a 4-bedroom.
But no one else been able to get in.
Hey Nick, are you looking at buying this one yourself, or are you looking to partner with someone?
I'm always looking for partners at this point, Peter. I bought as many houses. I bought 16 houses on my own, and then I basically ran out of money, and I thought, how can I keep this thing going? Because every time, Peter, I would run out of money, and we've talked about this at work, I would stop looking on Zillow because it would make my stomach upset because I'd want to go buy more properties. And so I'd stop, but then I would listen to Bigger Pockets, and I found that, you know, if you can find the deal, you can find the money. And so what I've been doing is partnering with people. I orchestrate the trip to come out here. And honestly, if somebody ultimately says, I want to do this one for myself, and I know you're the same way, Peter, you have an abundance mentality, there's plenty to go around. But for those that say, hey, I just want to invest and do something different with my money other than just put it in a 401k or just put it in the stock market and get a return on my investment. Well, I'm doing that through partnerships and basically, you know, doing everything on the back end so they don't have to worry about the asset. And then that way they're going to get, you know, their portion of the partnership cash flow on a monthly basis. And I'm taking care of everything behind the scenes. But there are people that I'm with.
Now, Nick?
Huh?
How many houses you have now total?
35. And I'll be honest with you, Peter, I think after this trip, with a couple partners, they're trying to figure out how to take down this 48 unit or the 46 houses. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not, but I know they're very adamant about it. We're looking at 12 unit apartment. We're looking at the 8 unit, and then we're looking at a lot of burr houses, the buy, you know, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. We're looking at probably 10 of those that are potential. We're going to basically put it all out on the table tonight and see who wants to do what and how they want to go about do it. There's people here, they want to invest. They probably want to just invest with me and just, you know, I'll do all the work on the back end, and they're going to put their money in, and we're going to, you know, work the partnership that way. There's some people here that I think they're getting as excited as I am about real estate, and they're going to want to do some of these on their own, which is awesome. And like I said, there's plenty to go around. So ultimately, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how we divvy it all up tonight, because this is our last night here. But I guarantee, at least even with just looking at single family, we're probably going to walk with 10 more houses just off this trip as a group. Nice.
That's really nice. You said there's 9 people with you?
There was 9. I think we have 7 now. Yeah, so Lindsay, who had left, went back. She flew back this afternoon. She had to go to Birmingham to fly back out of Birmingham. And then Christoph Duna actually made it. So one of mine and Peter's old colleagues, he drove down from North Carolina, drove 5 hours, and he was here for a couple days with us as well.
Oh, that's fun. I can't wait to see the pictures and video. We're going to get that posted on the website for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I look forward to telling you guys more about it. But we're going to go on to another house now, and I'm going to let you guys go.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the update.
All right, guys.
All right. Yeah, back to identifying target markets with Nicole.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable because as I was doing a little research for this presentation, because, you know, I don't know every single market. I know Atlanta, but I was surprised to see the figures coming in from Alabama. And second the second hottest market is Atlanta, but yeah, Alabama is just on fire right now. So it's really exciting to see all of the opportunities that are presenting themselves right now, and the people that are willing to step up and make those commitments and make it work during this time, because it's a super opportunity for people that see it that way. But in addition to your return on your investment, you're going to make sure that everything's going to fit within your budget. You've got to analyze your rent rates, what your payments are going to be compared to what your gross rent's going to be. There will always be those unexpected maintenance expenses that you don't prepare for, but will arise. And then there are those that you can prepare for, which are your property taxes. So all of those things you want to factor in when you're making those decisions and you're analyzing the property. As well as, you know, Nick said it, location. He's definitely in the right location right now, scouting out potential properties. And you know, something to always keep in mind as you're looking at properties, you want to place yourself in that position of the target tenant, and ask yourself, would you be willing to live there? Is it conveniently located? Is there enough industry that's going to be able to subsidize the rent rate that you're going to command? And as far as the school districts, are you looking at nice schools if there are children and families involved, and the industry? So you also want to take into consideration the growth factors. What is the future in that area going to look like? Is it currently being maintained? Is it a depressed area? Are new companies moving in? Is the city developing? Are they developing new neighborhoods, or are you seeing a lot of neighborhoods that have been depressed? So those are all things that you want to consider as you're planning for that growth potential. And when you do that, you know, your supply and demand is a huge factor to keep in mind. Is it an area that has been overbuilt? And then the economic crisis has actually been a really awesome thing for the rental market. The economy, not so much, but tenants have been making the decision to stay put. And normally people that would be looking for a property to purchase for themselves are not making those huge commitments. They're making short-term commitments, and they're renting because they don't know what's in store for their future. So we're seeing a lot of that happen right now in the climate of the current state of the economy. But deciding what type of property is going to work for you, because there's such a plethora out there. There's single family properties, multifamily properties, vacation properties. You know, Nick mentioned that the Airbnb, that's getting to be really enticing. But the most popular type of property that you're gonna come across is definitely hands down going to be your single family home. And that's because it's going to be easier for you to purchase. Your rent rate is typically going to be on the higher side, and then it's going to appreciate faster. You're also going to have less difficulty when it comes to obtaining financing. So you're not going to face as many challenges on a single family property as you will on a multifamily, unless of course you have 35 properties. And then as far as the multifamily properties, those are ideal to have in your portfolio. However, those are few and far between. They're like finding a diamond in the rough. So finding them is always a challenge, and those are typically going to have a little bit higher purchase price and financing challenges that are going to come with that type of property as well. But they're great if you can get your hands on them, because why would you want multiple buildings when you can have, so many doors under one roof. It just makes good sense. And then the Airbnb, that's a market right now that it has been on fire, and for very righteous reasons. There's a lot of money to be made in the Airbnb rental sector because you are able to command higher rents in those areas, and you're able to get a higher quality tenant, although they're short term. And also because of the frequency of the turnover, the condition of the property is going to be able to maintain at a more consistent level. So it's not like you're renewing a lease once a year, every 2 years, and you're only getting an annual inspection. You're able to put your eyes on that, or your manager is, you know, as often really as you'd like to see it. And then the perks of the Airbnbs to resort properties, you're going to get to use them in the off season. So those are really nice, but they are a little bit more as far as the upfront cost. And you are going to have more cleaning and repairs that are going to take place on a more consistent basis. You're going to have the vacancies that you're going to need to factor in. And then also, you know, tenants just aren't going to take as good of care of a vacation property as they will a single family property, because, hey, they're on vacation. They're there to have fun. But after you do acquire your property, you're going to want to make sure that it's properly prepared for the market. And this is a critical step in the process as well. If you have had the home inspection, you'll have a good idea of what you're working with and what work it is that you are going to need to do on the home. But you'll want to make sure that all of your systems, your HVAC, your plumbing, all of your appliances, your big ticket items, you're going to want to make sure that all of those are in good operable condition. And that leads me to appliances. And in Georgia, we're not required for rental properties to provide the appliances. But if they are provided with the property, you are legally obligated to maintain those as well. As far as the exterior of the home, you're going to want to make sure you do as much preventative maintenance as you can to the outside trees. Make sure no shrubberies touching the home. Those can allow various pest intrusions, and those expenses add up unbelievably. And then you also may want to do, if there are evidence of pest, you do want to definitely have a pest control company take a look at the property, because bats and rats are very, very expensive to mitigate. And then really at the end of the day, just keep in mind that you don't have to have an HGTV remodel, you know, on your property before you lease it. But there are becoming certain expectations that the tenant is looking for. They're looking for fresh paint. They're looking for clean, durable flooring surfaces. They're looking for nice countertops, cabinets, things like that. The better condition that your property is in, the easier it's going to be to market, and the higher caliber tenant that we're going to be able to obtain for you, because that's the standard of lifestyle that they're looking for. And so after your property has been on the market and after you've purchased it and it's on the market, you're going to look at building your team. And this is a huge component. As most of you guys know, none of us are anything on our own, but together we can do amazing things. And so building the team is very important, and great people are really hard to find. So you want to surround yourself with people, first of all, that you can trust, and people that are going to perform at the level of your expectation. And you need to define that as quickly as possible. And a good agent, if you've been in the process of purchasing, you've likely gotten an agent. But a good agent is going to know the market and be your eyes and ears on the ground during the entire process of your house hunt. And they'll also be willing to share with you their resources, their vendors, and so you can be sure that you're getting the best of the best. because they will know. They know the market in and out if they're any good. And then they will also be able to refer you to a good, knowledgeable property manager. And property managers live and work in the area they service, and they're going to know the ins and outs of that property before you even purchase it. So they're going to be able to run your rent analysis. They're going to be able to help you with all of your facts and figures before you get to the table on placing an offer. You're going to know if that house is something that you should consider or something that you should just respectfully decline. Also, a property manager can add some additional value on the contractor front because they've established those relationships with those existing vendors that are all going to be servicing your property. And those vendors are willing to extend those discounts that are passed on to the owner based upon the sheer amount of business that they're receiving from the property management company. And different companies handle maintenance in different ways. Some do have an in-house property in-house maintenance. We do not. We just establish those relationships with the vendors, and our owners pay exactly what our owners are charged for the service. So there's no markup or margins on that at all. And transparency. You really have to be transparent in this industry. You have to be able to know and communicate what your expectations are. And when those aren't being addressed correctly, you should definitely bring those to the attention. Because they're going to work for you. Your property manager is going to increase your revenues. They're going to be able to gather those higher quality tenants. And the tenant screening process is critical in the management process, because you want to be 100% positive in your choice in order to prevent evictions and possible damages to your property that could come with those bad relationships. So don't we know that all too well? So we do perform nationwide screening of the credit, as well as nationwide criminal background history, arrest records, sex offender status on a nationwide level, employment verification, and then we also do an extensive residential rental history so that we are able to really form a good story of this tenant, who they are, where they've been, and that's a likely indicator of where they're going to go and how they're going to treat your property. And so with that said, you know, there are time to time, there are unforeseen circumstances that will cause an eviction or cause you to have some legal problems. Poor placement tenant, tenant placement.
Okay, I'll talk to you right after.
Yeah, but we found that poor tenant placement is the top result in unnecessary evictions. And the eviction process is long, it's lengthy, it's costly. It's going to result in months of lost rent for you and potential property damage to your property, because if you're evicting them, they're not going to be very happy about it, and they're not going to pay their rent.
Nicole?
Yes.
Quick question for you, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Have the evictions started back up in Georgia? I know that it was stopped for a while because of COVID.
It was stopped temporarily, but there is a loophole for that, because if you have a conventional loan, we're able to evict now. Anything though that is federally backed by a federally guaranteed mortgage, we are not able to. That's covered under the CARES Act. And at this time, we are still not able to evict on those circumstances. But okay. Everyone else, we are.
I was still happy to see that the tenants were largely still paying their rent throughout the COVID timeframe.
Yeah, it was very scary at first, because it was just such an uncharted territory that none of us have been in ever. And so it was interesting to see how everything was going to play out because of the uncertainty. And for the most part, I believe most people are good. but there are other times that people will look for excuses to not uphold their financial commitments. And we, thankfully, we have filed 3 evictions, but we have close to 150 properties right now. So the percentage is not that large, but we have worked harder, smarter, and more creatively in this industry during this time frame than we have ever had to, because we have been working with tenants and owners and trying to establish payment plans to keep them in their house, because not all of them, if we can't evict, we can't evict. So it has definitely been a challenge, but you definitely want a manager that's going to be able to represent you in court should it ever come to that, because we'll file all of your paperwork. We make your court appearance for you. Thankfully, we've not had to do that, but we'll make your court appearance for you. We'll fight your case. We provide extensive documentation and the paper trail. We've never not received a judgment based upon non-payment of rent from a tenant. So you definitely want to have a good, strong management company that's going to fight on your behalf. And then once the judgment is issued through the court, then we work with the sheriff's office in order to recover your property, and then kind of at that point see what we're working with. But management also you'll have shorter vacancies, you'll see, and you'll retain your tenants a lot longer if you do have a good, solid management. Because if they have a good reputation, they're going to be the area's go-to solution when it comes to rental properties. Because the public, as well as all the other agents in the area, know what they represent. If you represent good, clean, good quality properties, and you properly maintain those, and maintenance requests are handled in a timely fashion, you will build market confidence and you'll build a great reputation. And as far as the rental aspect, we love being the first person that people think of when they're looking for a rental property. But we also list all of our listings and vacancies on the Georgia MLS. So it does allow all licensed agents to be able to have the capability to show your property. And then they're compensated through us for that. And then once an application is received from one of those candidates, they're processed just exactly like they would have been if they would have contacted us directly. They all meet the same strict criteria to make sure that we're working to ensure that you get the best quality tenant, because at the end of the day, that's what it is about. You have to make sure the rent's coming in and that your property is being maintained. And then as far as the accounting goes, most management companies are using web-based software solutions that are going to streamline the entire process for you. And that's everything from the application process to converting that person to a tenant. They pay their rent online. They submit their maintenance request online. We're able to bulk correspond with the tenants by text, by email. And then we also are able to wire monthly the owner's funds into their designated account, provide them the statements as well as the end of the year 1099 and cash flow reports statements if you need those. So the most important thing to keep in mind is you want to maximize your investment, and you want to always keep a good balance of quality and quantity. So when you factor in those maintenance expenses, if you don't make those projections correctly, it can eat up a lot of your profits. So you want to make sure that you are going to purchase a home that you're going to adequately be able to maintain, especially if you're intending on holding it for a long term. and really just know what you're buying. So if a home has a wooden septic tank, you need to know this. So, you know, just do your due diligence, and at the end of the day, just know when it makes sense and when you just need to step away, because like we had discussed earlier, there will always be another one. So that's pretty much all I had for you guys today. Did y'all have any questions?
Well, I have a question actually, Nicole. So you manage 150 properties. I think you manage about I think you manage 13 of mine that are around Atlanta area, and you've noticed that when my tenants move out, I typically will replace carpet throughout the place with luxury vinyl planks, kind of a harder flooring, more durable. It's more expensive than carpet, but it does last very long. What are your thoughts on that? I usually leave carpet in the bedrooms.
Yeah, I would rather see all LVP all throughout the house. For a few different reasons. It is durable. It's going to hold up a lot longer for you. It's a lot cleaner, and it's easier when you turn the tenant. You're going to see a lot more wear and tear on carpet than you will on that surface, and it holds up really, really nicely, and it looks good.
Oh yeah, that's definitely for sure.
We have another question as well.
Sure.
What percentage do you typically charge a new investor with one property? What other fees can a newbie investor expect?
As far as our fees, the tenant acquisition fee, that's when we acquire a new tenant for your home. That's half of your first month rent. And then every subsequent month after that, it's a flat 10% management fee. Only other fees are going to be your renewal fee, which I think we're running at $325 for a renewal for the tenant. And then we just ask that you keep a $300 maintenance reserve in your owner account for any maintenance issues that may arise.
Next question, does the LVP have a lifetime warranty, not labor, but the material?
You'll need to check on that. I know each distributor, each manufacturer is different. Some are considered waterproof and they will hold a longer guarantee, and some are just water resistant. So you'll want to look at the individual product that you're wanting to lay in there before.
And for Scott Gelb, I think Scott asked this question. I wanted to let you know that for mine, I was using Traffic Master Allure LVP flooring, and those have a 25-year warranty.
And another positive thing about that is that it does come in planks. So if there is any type of damage to the flooring, you can easily make a repair to the section and not having to replace an entire room.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's something to really look out for when you're buying it, because LVPs come in either floating planks, or they come with the glue down flooring basically. And so if you have the glue down, you're not going to be able to just replace a section. You're going to have to probably do the entire room and then do that transition strip. Whereas if you get the floating luxury vinyl planks, which Nicole's talking about, it's very easy to just replace one section if you need to. But I always joke with this stuff. I mean, you put the floating LVPs on the floor, you can put that on the bottom of your pool, it'll be fine.
Another question, how many properties does an investor have to have before you typically reduce the monthly percentage cost?
It's 5.
I also wanted to tell folks who are asking the questions, basically, if when I started in real estate investing, I was looking around, I was trying to find a good property management company. It took me quite a while. I'm currently using 4 property management companies in 3 states. And what I've learned over time and from dealing with multiple property management companies is when you look at one management company, they have 8%, right? You look at another one, they have 10% as far as the management fee goes. if you look at, for example, my average rent about 800 bucks a month, 900 bucks a month, the difference between those two, you're talking about 15 bucks a month. So that part is not going to make or break you. The part that you really have to be careful with are all of the other fees that they might have built into their lease management agreement.
Right.
And the reason why I'm using Nicole in Alabama is because her fees are extremely competitive compared to the other property management companies I've used.
Yeah, and transparency is always key when you're looking for a property management company, because you know they can tell you that you're going to get the brother-in-law deal, and when it really comes down to it and you read the fine print, it's not really all that appealing. But we work very hard, and we do a good job. And there may be other companies out there that may offer a smaller reduction in the monthly management fees. But if you have one eviction that could be prevented, that's your profit right there.
If there's any more questions, please use the chat box, and we'll love to answer your questions. I'll give it a couple more seconds to see if any other questions flow through.
Also, if it's okay, I'd like to go ahead and put up my last slide that has my email address and my our business line. If anybody does have any questions after this, it doesn't matter what market you're in. If anything comes to mind, I'd love to help you with it any way that I can.
And Matt just asked, just wanted to confirm, is Nicole in Montgomery?
No, I'm in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
So for Matt, if you are interested in Montgomery, Nick Weaver does have a lot of contacts down there. He's got properties down there. Some of his houses are there. And part of what he's doing on his trip, I think he's going once a quarter now. And part of what he does on his trip is introduce anyone who's interested in seeing the market, introduce them to bankers, insurance agents, realtors, property management companies, and so forth. So basically contractors, basically anyone you would need in the market. And we'll, with Club 500, we're going to do the same for Mobile. I'm hoping to do the same for Atlanta, Georgia in the future as well, and kind of have quarterly trips going down there and checking out the market.
And Matt said he went with Nick in January, and it was a great trip. That's awesome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, perfect.
It's great to hear.
Any more questions for Nicole, anyone? Nicole, thank you so much for the presentation. That was awesome.
Absolutely. Nice. Thank y'all for having me. And if there's anything at all that I can do, let me know.
It looks like we have a smaller group today, and that happens sometimes. I don't know why, but last time I think we had 30 people. This time we have how many? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of us right now. When we meet in person, there's about 60 usually. So,
well, you know what? I love what y'all are doing, and I love the excitement that you have for the industry, because we share that as well. So it's just kind of nice and refreshing to see, and I think that you're doing a wonderful thing.
Well, we live and breathe real estate. That's why I like the fact that you always jump on things when something's happening.
I do. I'm that person.
You call me more than I call you.
I'm way overextended, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Anyone who currently has properties under management by someone, you'll know that it's very rare for your property manager to call you more than you call them. So that's a very good quality to have.
And, you know, sometimes I would rather take a beating than have to notify you of a maintenance issue. But it has to be done. I mean, you don't want to hear it, just as much as I don't want to have to tell you.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you again, Nicole. And we're going to have
Yeah.
on our website, we're going to post the slides as well. It's probably going to take a day or two, but we'll get those slides posted and we'll get the video of this whole thing posted as well for anybody who missed it.
Okay. Also, it was kind of last minute, but today I did receive an industry survey newsletter that's really interesting. I'll email it to you directly, and
Okay.
it's from Buildium. They're like Appfolio. They're a web-based software provider. We don't use them, but they have good information, and they allow it to be shared. But it's surveys of actual property management companies that are using their software. And it just kind of gives you an insight of where the industry's been this past couple months
Oh, very nice.
and what they're forecasting. And it was super good to see because it's based on facts and figures.
Yeah, shoot that over to me and we'll post it in our files section on the website as well so anybody can get it if they want to.
Yeah, sure will. I'll get that over to you this evening.
Great. Thank you again, Nicole. And now I wanted to ask Scott. Are you still there? Scott Gelb?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. I heard you just bought a house, so I wanted to see if you wanted to kind of update folks on how that went, or what you bought, or what kind of house it is.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to do multifamily, but it fell through. But, you know, Lee is super cool there, and we found a house instead just to get me in the market. So I ended up paying $60,000 for it. The rent is $800, about to go up to $850. It's Section 8, so guaranteed rent. I'm having some rent collection issues in Detroit now, so it's nice to have that. They were really helpful getting the deal done. So that's really it. I ended up using NREIG for insurance. It's good to get several quotes, I learned. There's a local agent there who came in much lower for multifamily. But for the single family house, NREIG came in a little lower for me.
Oh, nice. And was this your first rental, or did you have any others?
I have a duplex and a house in Detroit right now.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Detroit. Nice.
I like the Alabama market's a little lower. I'm using cash on cash as my main metric instead of cap rate, or that's more important to me. The Fannie Mae loans were on hold. I don't know if they've opened back up, but that's something I need to look at refining that house out too. Yeah,
nice. Those are good numbers. 80 or $800 a month. What'd you say, 60?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
So it worked out right around 10% cash on cash.
Yeah.
With all the costs. So I like the deal.
You know, the last 5 years, I also did the same thing. I was always using cash on cash basically to calculate all my deals and figure out if I want to buy them or not. And as I'm putting everything on paper now, 5 years later, I found that I've made more in appreciation and just inflation hedging and principal pay down and all of that than cash flow. But
oh, wow.
But I still use the same metric though. I'm never going to buy for appreciation. I'm never going to buy for any of these other things. I'm just using cash flow. But in the long run, I feel like all these other benefits kind of end up sometimes even outweighing it. Some of it, of course, was timing, I would imagine.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
But what about you, Brian? Anything new?
No, well, you know, we're still, right now we have, I think some opportunities that we're looking at here locally in Long Beach. So again, we're trying to change our strategy a little bit and go more hard money, get into the deal, you know, something that's a good opportunity, get in, and then ultimately refinance it. We'll probably buy and hold. And then, you know, from there, look at, like you said, the appreciation aspect of it, and then eventually sell it. But that's kind of, we've got a couple of things that we're looking at in Long Beach, and then may do something out of state, but we, you know, that's something that we'll definitely connect with you and Nick on. So
that sounds great. Yeah, for anybody who didn't see Brian's presentation last time, it is currently posted on our website. So you just go over there, you go to meetings or past meetings, something like that, and it has his presentation on there and the video too.
If you go to club500.us, scroll over upcoming meetings, you'll see past meetings. If you click on past meetings, you'll be able to see it right there. And you could also download the slides. And you can also see the very first meeting that we did, virtually first meeting that we did right here as well. So club500.us.
And Bassam, anything new?
Not really, Peter. Like I've been busy at work lately, but I'm looking forward for the project with Nick, and kind of postponed purchasing our home like till December, January, like just to see how everything settles. But yeah, I'm looking forward to start investing beginning of next year. Like I'll have a good budget for that. But yeah, that's the update.
But your day job is also kind of in the industry, right? What do you do?
So I work in the commercial real estate industry. We build we partner with developers. So our company is a subsidiary of an investment bank based in Kuwait. So we bring in the capital from Kuwait, and we do partner with developers, build commercial real estate like warehouses, multifamily properties, 300 units and above. We lease it, stabilize it, and we sell it and bring profit back to the investors.
That's really amazing. Yeah, and that's in real estate. Relationships are everything, guys. So now look at there's like 9 of us on the call, and you've got someone who's connected in commercial real estate. You've got a property manager. You've got Brian and Vivian Grosh in Long Beach, who are real estate agents and investors. You've got Scott, who just bought a property and has some other properties, so you can kind of pick his brain. It's really cool to see this.
Right, and we Peter, like just to elaborate a little more, like we've been seeing a lot of activity lately in commercial real estate. We've like during COVID, like March till I'd say last month, it's been like slow, the investment side, but now more people are like, especially on the industrial side, like with all e-commerce effect, like a lot of investors are back in the market and purchasing, acquiring like warehouses and other industrial type of properties.
Brian, what did you say?
I was going to ask, where is Bassam primarily investing in?
So we partner, Brian, like with developers all over the US, but like our projects now, we have like one in near Portland in Washington state, but like on the borders of Portland, it's an industrial warehouse. We have a multifamily in Kansas City and Chicago, and one in Austin that we're about to sell. It's in escrow right now.
Okay.
It's 265 units. Industrial, we also have like in Dallas market, it's very hot market. We're looking at the build to suit now we're partnering with Panatoni to build a warehouse around the 400,000 square feet warehouse for it's a company, Australian company that has a good US market share, and they're building their main distribution warehouse in Alabama, actually, and Coleman,
wow.
which is in Coleman City. But yeah, it's all over the US. But I'd say Dallas is the hottest market right now for industrial.
Interesting. Very good. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, even for residential,
sure, anytime.
right? The Dallas has been absolutely nuts for residential. I know that. I've got a buddy from Chicago who was buying properties down there, and he was buying houses that were about 250,000. And he would literally there would be like 23 bids on the property a couple hours after listing, and all of them would be above asking.
Wow.
Dallas is just super hot.
Wow.
So Matt, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Matt, so how do you know Nick Weaver? You went to the last Montgomery trip, right?
Yeah, I met Nick probably last September when I started going to the meetups down here in Temecula, and in January I went with him and his brother Derek to Alabama, and it was an awesome trip. I know Nick is there right now. I think he's coming home tomorrow, but I couldn't make this trip, but I'm looking forward. He was talking about at our last Club 500 meeting that we did on Zoom, he was talking about maybe spending a couple days in Montgomery in September, and then maybe a couple days in Mobile. Maybe start checking out that market. And along with the interest in Mobile was I was listening to the director of economic research at Alabama State University. They actually have a center for real estate there at ASU. And I was watching a webinar with him just this morning when he was talking about Mobile, and he said that the port down there in Mobile is just completing like a major expansion with all of the changes going on to logistics because of the COVID-19. That I guess Mobile has altered their plan, and now they're redesigning their port. So I think it's going to be a real shot in the arm for that area. So I think it might be timely that we maybe start looking at Mobile for investments.
Yeah, what they also did recently is they've re-drenched the port as well, so that way it's deeper and it can take bigger tanks in there. So it's really interesting market. And when my wife and I started Club 500, that was in 2017, and at that time I was telling everybody about Atlanta, and actually I was telling everyone about Atlanta back in 2014 when I started investing there as well, and just kept kind of mentioning it, kept saying how good of a market it was. And Nicole, you know best probably what happened between then and now in Atlanta, and how now it's kind of much harder to find an investment property there.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking about Mobile, and I keep mentioning all the time, and Nick's talking about Montgomery and all of that, and I bet you guys will see the same thing. 5 years down the road, folks are going to wish they bought something there.
Right.
All right, let's see. Harriet, you're in Texas, is that right?
Hi. No, I'm in Irvine.
Oh, you're in Irvine.
I'm working for a semiconductor company back in corporate America. But yeah, I'm licensed in Texas. You got it right.
Oh, good. Okay, I thought I
yeah,
something
licensed
wrong.
in Texas. Did most of my excruciating dealings with home buyers and sellers in Houston, but my license is in Austin right now. So.
And Houston is a totally different. We were just talking about Dallas, Texas, and Houston is a completely different market again.
Yeah.
There's a lot more dependency on oil down there.
Yeah, hopefully they're going to diversify at some point. I'm hoping so. But yeah, I'm partnered with the wholesaler down there, and I'm offer any boots on the ground. If you need a boots on the ground investor friendly realtor anywhere, just let me know. I'm happy to help. That's just something I'm offering as a service.
Harriet, if you have a URL or contact information that you want to go ahead and send in the chat for anybody to go ahead and contact you, that would be great. Thank you.
Can you post Nicole's information again, please?
Let me see. Nicole, are you still on? You're still on. Can you also put in the chat box your information?
Thank you.
Yeah, in the chat, I just shared my screen. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
And Renee, welcome back. I don't know if you made it to our last one. I can't remember.
No, I planned to, but I got busy and completely forgot all about it.
-2 points. -2 points.
I know, but I can make it up.
Perfect. Anything new with you?
Just right now, negotiating a deal on a buy and hold burr in Indy. So that's going on right now. And then actually, Gabby and I are partnering. We're partners on a flip in Ohio right now. So we're just getting ready to list it, hopefully on the 30th, June 30th, next week.
Oh, cool.
So,
I remember when you guys flew out there. You guys flew out.
Yeah, remember?
The market, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So she was trying to get me to go on this trip with Nick, but I couldn't make it. It was too short notice that she let me know, and I had a couple other things going on. So she's gonna come back and download on me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right.
Peter, like I would like to get your insight about like what do you think of the market right now, and like with all what's going on, the unemployment rates, I know nobody knows, but like just like the way you're looking at it.
Yeah, so good question. I mean, look, I really like real estate because you've got a lot of control in real estate. It's unlike the stock market. I can actually affect my real estate. I can, I can rehab it. I can flip it. I can just sell out of it. I can lower the rent. I can attract tenants by making it a better curb appeal, and that's the part that really makes me feel better about my portfolio. And the other thing is that when I'm buying properties, I'm always making sure that they're cash flowing on day one, right? So you might have ups and downs, you might have to do some rehab, whatever it may be, but I'm making sure that that property is rentable and able to cash flow on day one. So with that, I don't really look at the market going up or down. I've always, in my presentations, I've always used the example of if all of my real estate in all my portfolio, if everything went down by 50% in value, or even worse, if everything went down to literally $1, for me, nothing would really change because I would still get my cash flow. My mortgages would still remain exactly the same, and my mortgage payments would not go up because there's a crash in the real estate market, right? I would just end up buying more. We have to make sure of that, obviously, as a real estate investor, that you always have decent reserves and you're always able to pay a few months rent or a few months mortgages if something went wrong. But I found that during crises like these, as Nicole mentioned, people end up renting, and people who lose a house, they end up having to rent someplace because they still have to live someplace, right? So I found that rentals are pretty resilient when it comes to this, and especially the class of rentals that we're currently in. So my average rent is about $800. It's been going up recently, maybe like $900 a month. Those are fairly resilient because if you live in a house that's $2,500 a month, and there's a recession and you lose your job or whatever, you're going to downgrade and you'll go to a lower rent type of property. That's still nice and clean, but not $2,500 a month. So that makes me feel comfortable as well that really kind of the lifeblood of our economy, that those workers are living in those type of houses. Long story short, I don't really know what happens to it in the next 3 months or a year or even 5 years. It doesn't really make a difference for me.
Makes sense. Thanks, Peter.
Was anybody nervous about it? Does anybody have any lost rents yet because of COVID? Anybody who currently owns properties, are you doing a forbearance on your loans by chance? I wanted to see what everybody's experience was with this.
Nick, Peter, it's Renee. So I'm in Indy and I'm not seeing any unpaid rents, thank goodness. And also I'm not doing any forbearance. So things for me haven't been impacted at all.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Scott Gelb. My duplex in Detroit, one unit was behind 3 months. They just caught up with all their stimulus. The other unit is only paying half for the last couple months. So the courts will reopen July 15th now. So I think the property manager will start the eviction I don't know. If they want to work a deal out with them, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Hey, Peter, we have a lease that's expiring this month, and we think that we should be able to get it rented. It's in Palm Springs, and we're asking between $2,000 to $2,300. But overall, we haven't been impacted by the COVID.
Okay. That's good news. That's good news overall. I did try the forbearance thing because about half of my portfolio is residential loans and the other half is commercial loans. So just in case, I thought it was a pretty good program, and I did it on about half of my properties. and I'll keep extending that for a year, and then I'll take a look at what I can do after that. Because if I have the ability to add that to the end of my loan term and pay 30 years from now, that would obviously be the best possibility. And if not, I'll just end up paying it in at the end, I guess. I'll let you guys know either way how it goes. Awesome. Jarrett, do you have anything else?
I do not see any more questions. I just would want to put out one more reminder. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry, motorcycle is passing. But just a reminder that club500.us, you'll be able to rewatch this meeting as well as utilize other tools that Club 500 offers. So again, thank you for joining. And other than that, no, Peter, I don't have anything, and I don't see any more questions in the group chat. So I think we're good to go ahead and wrap it up if you want to.
Great, thank you guys. Good seeing everybody again, and we're going to look to do this again in a couple of weeks. Probably again Saturday, maybe July 11th. But I'm going to keep you guys posted. We'll set it in stone someplace, maybe tomorrow or the day after, and then I'll get it posted on the website. Thank you everybody for coming again. Yeah, go ahead.
But one thing that I would like to add as well, if you see this events that we do, such as virtual events or other stuff that we put out on the Facebook group or Facebook page that Club 500 has, it helps us out a lot if you guys like, comment, and even share it more specifically. So would encourage you guys to help us out in that regard. If you guys see a post, if you can share it, it helps us out a lot. So again, that will be the social media Facebook of Club 500. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you guys for being active on the group as well. That helps a lot. Answering questions from folks. A lot of times we'll have brand new folks join, and they'll ask a question. So I really appreciate when somebody jumps in and answers a question for them. It's very helpful. All right. Thank you everybody again, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, if not before that. If anyone ever has a question or needs help with anything, we've made mistakes along the way, and we have a lot of experience. So please don't hesitate to give us a call. My email is info@club500.us, and you can contact me through the website as well. And of course, you can contact me through Facebook as well. I can shoot you my phone number. Happy to chat anytime about anything that is real estate investing related. And finally, thanks again, Nicole, and thank you, Jarrett, for helping put this together.
Of course.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Anytime.
But I'm with the group. You guys want to do introductions real quick? Hi, I'm Michael. I am also in Orange County.
Hi, I'm Mary from San Diego.
Hi, I'm Com from Marietta.
Hi. Where do I look? Do I look good?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Gabby from Irvine.
Roger from San Diego.
Nice to meet you guys.
And here's Caroline from Montgomery, Alabama. She's been my chauffeur for the last 10 minutes. And I was the chauffeur before that. So
it's been such a
thanks for having us.
Thank you for the smooth drive.
Oh, there it is.
Michael, I just asked you to unmute if you want to unmute yourself. Michael or Renee?
Hi, everyone. It's Renee from Irvine.
Bassam, sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly.
No, that's correct. Bassam from Orange County.
Michael, I'm asking you to unmute if you could hear us. Michael is from Boston, I believe. And that is everybody that we have as of right now. So that concludes our networking introductions. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick off purchasing and managing your investment property with Peter and Nicole. Nicole, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and we'll get started with Peter. Peter?
And guys, I just wanted to tell you real quick. So Nicole Johnson is the owner of Falcon Property Management in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've asked Nicole to be here today because she's very knowledgeable on the topic of property management and investment properties in general. So I thought Nicole would have a lot of